Hello and welcome back. Today I want to align an SWR power meter from Daiwa. It's a cross needle, so they are very cool. I'm not sure if they were the first, but I remember these old ones. These my dad has given to me. This is a very old Daiwa. It is the CN-650. And it is from, you can use it from 1.2 up to 2.5 gigahertz. So it's for super high frequency, like 23 centimeters. I don't have a transmitter for it, but I will play with these another time. And in the same series, that was pretty cool. There is also one for 2 meters and 70 centimeters. That is the CN-630. So having these two, I thought, okay, I also need one to have the one that is for HF, and that one would be the CN-620A, because the normal 610 and 620s were the series before. They looked a little bit different. So the next closest thing I could find, because these I could not find anymore, and I really wanted something similar, so I thought I should not go to the newest of Daiwa. So I was looking for something more or less, so it became this one, and this is the CN-101L. And I think the L is because this is for the lower frequency. You can see here it's 1.8 up to 150. I will only be using it for HF, so up to 30 megahertz. So I'll probably adjust it around the 15 megahertz, 14 point something. And I will use my ICOM. I have here an ICOM IC751. Can do up to 100 watts, so we can get reasonable in the scale. And I will use the Marconi because that one has been calibrated before I got it. So the power readings from that one should be good. And because it's secondhand and it's probably a little bit older, so I'm not sure if the values will be correct of the power meter. And well, the same for these, of course, but I will do those another time. Let's start with this one. Okay, so here we have it. It is a cross needle. I really like that from Daiwa. And they did that from the start, I think. So you have your forward power and your reflected, and that's why you can see immediately how is your SWR, because of course you want as less as possible of your reflected. So also if you have this cross needle in an antenna tuner, it is really great, and I like MFJ does that. And well, of course Daiwa also does that in their antenna tuners, but it gives you immediately a very good insight. Well, this is the CN-101L, and the frequency you can use is 1.8 up to 150. And the power ranges in this one is 0 to 15 watts, up to 150 watts, and up to 1.5 kilowatts, which is really a lot. I will be using my ICOM. It goes up to 100, so at least for the first few scales we should be able to use that. And compare it to the Marconi goes up to 100 watts. So, well, actually 75, but I can do short lead double. Also, if you're using SSP, you have here your PEP power of your average power, and I think the average is just what you normally have, and on the PEP they just yeah, I think they just have a bit of a capacitor and they keep the value. It just makes it a bit slower, so you have a little bit a better insight of your PEP. So my setup here is the ICOM. It's the IC751, very old, it's mid 80s I think, but the power is adjustable here with the RF gain. I think it starts around 10 or 15, and then you can turn it all the way up to 100. So that will be very useful. So the power we put through here, and then we can read the power from the Marconi, and it will just display here. And then we need to adjust the Daiwa accordingly. So that is the whole idea, at least for the forward power. And for the reflected power, I was actually thinking just doing more or less the same, but then just plug the antenna and the transmitter the other way around. You need to think that the reflected power is usually times 10 less. So when you are on the 150 scale, oh, it's even a third. Because if I'm in the 15 watts scale, the reflected only goes to 5. So, but then I can also adjust the reflected at least if the pots are also for that. So let's open, see how many pots we have, and then we should be able to, to kind of align it forward and reflected power. Well, let's just quickly see. I see only 4 screws, so that's a good start. Yeah, the screwdriver fits nicely. 1. Yeah, the other side. Fine if we just open this. Okay. I'm always surprised how little is inside. Here we have the kind of the RF top. Usually these are just directly connected, and then in parallel they have some sort of antenna that picks up the RF that is between these two and the ground. And they will probably have a diode to do the forward or the reflected, because it is of course it's kind of AC that needs to be DC to project it on the meter. Well, if we have a look, indeed we see here a few diodes and here a few diodes. I see 3 pots here, 3 pots there. So I would think for 3 power ranges, for forward and for reflected. Let's have a closer look, because I don't necessarily see if there is text or not, what is what. Okay, I think there is text, but it is in white. So they have a very creamy color PCB, and then they thought, okay, let's put white ink, because I can see it says ref, and then one says L, N, and H, and for the forward we also have H, N, and well, probably an L. Can't really see that. So let me write that down on paper so I know which one is which. Okay, so we have our high, medium, low from the reflected is here, high, medium, low, and here we have the low, medium, high for the forward. That is here. So it's just 6 pots. It's kind of self-explanatory. So we just need to go through the ranges, and I just start in the low power. I need to see if it's even possible with this transmitter to go at 10 or 15 watts, but we can see on the Marconi. Ooh, this meter needs a clean. Look at this. Dirt is really in here. And the bottom is okay. Here it's clean, but the top, this needs, okay, so I will take it apart. Maybe I do that first. Let's first have a quick look if it even measured something. So we have the icon. I have the output here. This goes in the transmitter. That is this side. Then we have the Marconi. It is in transmitters. And that goes then to the antenna side. Well, the Marconi acts like will act like a dummy load, so the SWR will be perfect. And well, I will put it here to 150 and to the lowest. And let's see if we even see something, and then I will start pointing the camera at the Marconi. It can do around 10 watts. that is good, that is very low. It says here 10.7, it is here in the 150, and it is a little bit more than 10, so it seems actually very good. Okay, I have the Marconi, and I just put the power meter there on the top, just to be sure. I can zoom in a little bit more. I think you can see the double needle pretty good now, and you can still see the Marconi because the power should appear here, and then the needle will this one, because this is the reflected right here, and the reflected should not do anything because the Marconi will act as a perfect load, so there will be no reflected. And so if I put now, it is around 10.7, so 11. Well, this is a little bit above the 1, so that should be okay. The lowest is 15, so let's try 15. And it says 10.6, 10.7, and it is also around here, around the 10. Why is it moving? Is that my transmitter? Yeah, maybe because I'm on the very lowest as I can. Yeah, my mic gain I need to turn down. So my voice will not affect now the sound. So it is just a fraction above 10, so that is okay. Let's try to get to the top scale here to 15. Can you see better? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Okay, so let me try to go to 15. Up. So this should be 15. And it is almost there, so I can just adjust a little bit. Okay, so 15 watts, 15.1, so it should be a little bit above. And I need this one because we are on forward and we are in the lowest. So that is this volt. And now I should carefully try to put it just above 15. Perfect. Okay, I pointed in the light, but as you can see, just above 15. And then on this scale, it should be between the 1 and the 2. But we try this, of course, in a higher scale. So if the 15 is good, then what about the 10 again? If we go back to 10, and it was almost 11, because it's 10.7, and yes, it almost touches the 11. So I would say it is now perfect. Let's go to the 150, and we are only looking at forward right now, but let's go to 100 watts. I cannot do that too long because the load in the Marconi is actually built for 75. So I let it cool down again. But does it say 100? Yeah, almost. It says something like 95. And here, almost 100 also. So it seems to be a little bit low on all of them on this frequency. Okay, that is adjusted. So now we are exactly at 100. And if I go to the 1500, it is also on the 100. And I cannot measure much higher, and but I will not use this scale a lot because I only have 100. So almost at 100, almost at 100 on the Marconi also. Yeah, 99. This is touching, so I think it's okay. Okay, now there is one other important thing that needs to be done, and that is the reflected power. Usually it would not matter too much, because if you have another SWR meter, then okay, if the power is not correct, okay, it's a pity. But if you want to actually see your SWR, you need to use your calibrate button here, your pot, and then you just set it at the maximum power, then you switch it over to, because at that point you are not actually looking at power, you just want your needle at full, then you switch over to reflected, and then you see how much of that scale is actually coming back. But what you see here, there is no call button. It only is for forward power, reflected power, and based on that you have your SWR. So that means we also need to calibrate the reflected, that you usually don't have to do that. So if I want to measure the reflected, how am I going to do that? Because the Marconi is a dummy load, so nothing will be reflected. Everything goes in, nothing comes back. So if we look at the reflected power, well, we saw the other meter is not moving at all. So what I am going to do, and I think it should work, is just put the transmitter and the antenna connection the other way around. It will start measuring the other way. And then we only measure reflected and the forward will be 0. But we already adjusted the forward, so that should not be a problem. The only thing, as I told before, we need to be careful because the reflected power is 1/3 of the power or less, depending on the scale. So we need to look at that and make sure that we don't blow the meter. So let's put the cables the other way around. Okay, so I will reducing the power on the Marconi, on the icon. Then I will just turn these two the other way around. Okay, when we start tuning, it should be the other 3 pots. So let's have a look. So okay, now it should measure the other way around. So my lowest was like almost 11 watts, and I see here it only goes up to 5. So I can very quickly push the button, but it will go too far, I think. Yes. So I'm not risking that, so I go to the 150 scale. And then it means the reflected goes up to 50 watts. So when I transmit, it should go somewhere to the 1, I would think. And it goes a little bit more, so this one is actually a little bit high for the reflected. And you see the forward is now not moving. And let me point also to the Marconi so you can see the power. So when I transmit, it says now 10.5, and here it says, well, that's not good. Oh, wait, because this is then 10, 15, 20. So 15, yeah, it's fractional high only. Let me put it to 50 watts because then we can measure a little bit better. Let me carefully go up to 50. Well, it's not that far off, to be honest. We tried, of course, do this with full scale. Careful, careful, careful. I'm at 50 watts, and it says here it's 49, so I don't think I will touch this. I will leave it as it is. Well, of course I did touch it. I just wanted to be correct, so I'm now to 100. That is now better as it was. If I go one scale here, I go to 50 watts. Should be around here. So 50 watts is now also good, and the lower scale already. No, we couldn't check, so I need to do that on a different frequency or with another set. Let me see if I have a transmitter that does about 5 watts. Okay, I have a CB here. I think that one can do lower power. So let me first check if the forward power is good. So let me change the cables. Okay, I changed the cables. Let me just go to a lower frequency. 25. No. Lowest as it can. The power is the outside. Let me see how much power are we doing. Almost 10 watts. It says 10 watts, so it is still good. Yeah, here it's a fractional lower, here it's a fractional lower also. Okay, but this one should be able to go lower, yes. So 5, it says around 5. Marconi also says it's around 5. Okay, good. That is good. So we do the reflected on 5. Okay, well, let's look at the scale that we already adjusted. That was the middle. So 30 watts, and indeed it's exactly 30. So now we go down to 5 watts. We go down to 55550. So if I do this one, this is 15 watts, but this one is 5. It should go to the top, and it does. Lower scale is perfect. Okay, well, that was fast. Now I like to clean it because I don't like that it is dirty. And I think I can just take the front off and then I can access the switches. That is okay. But the meter cables are a bit short. I only see one screw. So maybe if I unscrew the meter, then I have space here. And yeah, I think that is it. Now I decided to take it completely apart because it is really full of dust, even in between, and I really like to give it a good clean, and I can just do this in water. Don't need any EPA, just a little brush and some water. I will do that. And yeah, you can see the cross needle are just actually 2 separate meters. Cool, I like the concept of that. Okay, that looks a lot better. Look at this, almost like brand new. No dust anywhere, the switches just go smooth. Very nice. Maybe we can do a practice test. What if I put it in my HF set? Or if I put it here on my transmitter and I listen, there is no one in the channel. You can see it does 100 watts. The tuner is of course on the other side, so this is the nice 50 ohm side. But if I untune a little bit my antenna, you will see that the reflected will come. And here it comes, my reflected power. And this is what you not want. And if it goes worse, then the power even goes down. But if I tune it to the lowest reflected, we have the maximum power. So that was actually pretty quick and pretty easy, as long as you have a calibrated other power meter, of course. And yeah, I think buying a Daiwa second-hand is pretty low risk. You could see how many components were in there. It is not much. And you can find some things on the internet. I also found a picture where the pots and the reflected and high, medium, low was better readable. And I will leave a link also to that, because there seem to be models that have the 2 diodes mixed sometimes, and then of course the values are not good, or it is not linear enough. I have a description, so I will leave that. And yeah, I'm lucky because there were no scratches, nothing, so it really is like new. And I paid like half price, so that was a good deal, and it is pretty accurate, as we could see. And even if I didn't adjust it, it was not more than 10% off. I think even less. So because it was less, well, like 1 or 2%. So yeah, it is some good quality. And I was thinking, oh, I can also do, because I have here a mass, and it's sold also as a diamond and KPO, I think, or these are not necessarily known to be pretty accurate because it is a 4 bond. And I thought, I also adjust this one, but here I have already 4 pots on the 2 RF tops because it is 2 different RF tops, and then I have more than 7 on the PCB. And it will probably also be 4 forward and reflected, 6 and 6, and then there was 1 extra that is maybe for the highest, that the 200 is also 400, so maybe that's the other pot. So I asked the mass company if they could explain me what other pots were for, and hopefully they will answer, and I can also adjust this one. And if you have a sharp eye, you probably could also see that the Kenwood was not giving the proper values on the power, so I will probably do the same there, but I also need to clean it. It's just there because I use it. I bought it also secondhand, and it works a lot better than my MFJ in combination with my end-fed antenna that I have. And it's a lot less noisy, but I just tested it and it never left because it worked good. But it also needs to be cleaned, and so I hope that was also helpful for you. Thank you for watching, and hope to see you next time.